words, be the catalyst that comes from a separate party to inspire the sculpture would be awesome. And
that's a small teams project, and I hope that a lot of you, especially if you're into sculpture at all, will join us in this project. And the actual part about the words and the music came from today. So this is great. And I have a sign-up sheet if anyone is interested.
that's great. There's a public artist that takes broken pieces of existing structures and inserts art into those broken pieces, and it's hard to describe. It almost looks like, let's say, when a tree starts to have growth on it, whether it's a fungus or whatever, but if it's imagine a brick building and some of the brick have fallen away, she finds those scars, if you will, and she fills them in a beautiful way, almost like there's something behind it that's coming out. I can't think of her name, but I sent a link to you, Pam, the other day. But anyway, when I passed by this Studebaker, this rusted Studebaker on this road that's behind a chain link fence, I always picture Kermit the Frog's car for some reason. Anyway, I just kind of would love to see someone just jump the fence and paint it look like Kermit the Frog's car and leave one day. Anyway, so I don't know if we can instigate that one. Okay.
Most things do need permission.
Sure, well, maybe we can figure out how to get permission to do that.
Brandon?
Yes.
I was talking to Josh about this lot out here, and he was talking about they were thinking about upending some of the big pieces of concrete and using that as temporary sculpture garden of some sort of the other. That's just an idea out there.
There's a bunch of awesome pieces of concrete out where?
Well, this is going to be a green space.
Oh, the green space. Oh, you're talking about that stuff. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
So,
awesome.
I mean,
Okay.
street artists, poets, all kinds of people might be able to
Take
do that.
advantage of the surfaces. Cool. Great. Anything else on sculpture? And just to remind you guys, this project where we're bringing in Steve Olson, it's not about necessarily building a skate park, it's about building an approachable sculpture that you can actually stand on. So adding that bonus.
I would love to see us next time have little dots that represent what kind of art discipline or whatever we're in, like a music note for those that are in music or whatever, so we can connect easier.
Cool.
Thank you for that, that's a good idea.
We like that idea. All right, fashion.
Wait 1 second. So, just say, Chris and James, think about that so that when people are communicating with one another, oh, look at that, good. Thank you.
If you have a wiki, you can select an avatar for your posts and put that next to your posts. Or you can include your link to your description, which would have all the necessary, whatever you want to put in your description.
Okay?
Awesome. Cool. All right, some ideas related to fashion.
Fashion paintings was spoken word projected outside or anywhere, combined with a fashion show made from recycled materials or natural materials. Cool.
That's the one with the most stars?
Yes.
Cool.
Julie, does that
I saw that done at the Atlanta airport, it was amazing, some of the stuff they did.
Awesome.
Yes, I have. I'll make one.
Well, see, there you go, tire tread gowns, I think, where they
Oh,
go.
wow. All right.
How many in here would want to participate in that? We've got a few. Okay.
I'm not going to participate.
Well, if you want to be down for that, put your name in the box associated to that category. And if that category doesn't exist, let's make sure we call that out and make sure that we know. Yeah, which one of them would fall under fashion? That's a good question. We could, I mean, logically, yes.
Do you think the guys setting up the computer thing, since we don't all have, enough slips of paper, they can set up some kind of virtual box?
Yeah, we'll do a virtual, we'll break it up into these categories, and maybe there'll be a few more that come out of this, and then we'll allow you to link into those dialogues.
Okay, but who needs paper? I got slips. Do you need some slips?
All right, anything else, Jane?
Yeah, with the repurpose of the background and those along the lines, like Project Runway stuff. I don't know how many of you watch Project Runway, but they do at least one or two things where they're literally going to a candy store, or they go into the grocery store or something, and create something like vegetables or something like that. That would be a way of just having a great event here. You could get the kids involved in the schools. I just want to say something really quick. I've got a flow, and I just want to say something that one thing I hear an awful lot about from like a lot of my daughter's high school friends, middle school friends, and stuff like that is nobody wants to mentor them in this town. And I hear that a lot, and I don't think that's necessarily the case. I just think they don't know really where to go, which artists to approach. And when I remember when we did Vision 2020, and I think it was on top and stuff, that we had a lot of the youngsters there, and they were saying like, well, you know, you can't, they hear all the time people saying in Shreveport, we've got to keep the youngsters here. We don't know how to keep the young people here. Well, you've also got to communicate with them. You know, you've got to involve them in all of this stuff. And one of the conversations that came back was, we want to be mentored by, they think that you're, and another thing that came back, there was a couple of kids that approached some local artists and they didn't want to help them. It was almost like they were jealous of the fact that these kids might be better than that. Well, isn't that a bloody wonderful thing? You want, I mean, hell, as I mean, I'm nearly 60 years old. If I can't pass what I do on to somebody else, I mean, my daughter does fabulous art, as you know, but she doesn't want to make a dress and her life depending on it. But there are a lot of kids in this town that do want to do stuff. They're really interested in fashion. This is not really a fashion hub, per
There's the
se.
Shreveport Sewing Center.
Oh yeah, I mean, you can make it a fashion hub. There's so many youngsters there that would love to get involved in that kind of stuff. And YouTube, that's the other thing you said just real quick about like getting the word out, like with Facebook and all that stuff. YouTube, and I hear that from the youngsters all the time. You want more stuff to be filmed. Do something on YouTube, because you on your own camera, for goodness sake. And upload it. YouTube is a great way of getting your stuff seen. Put something catchy on there, somebody will pick it up.
Okay, cool. Anything else you want to add to fashion? I just wanted to reemphasize the idea of the reference I made earlier to Conflict Kitchen and how they did such a great job with just building a facade to an existing space that can then be used, whether it's used as a place where you can actually go in and purchase or clothing. You think of it as a store, you can sell amazing works, but also as a space that could be for somebody coming along that path and has never been to this part of town, go, wow, this looks like a gallery, or this looks like a place that would have this sort of event. The reality is it isn't, but it could be. But we're making it feel like it is for that one month.
Is there a comprehensive list of these spaces, walls, open areas that we can look at? That we can
Not yet, but all we have is this map and then that walking tour that Josh is working on. We're going to try to point all of this stuff out. And, you know, there's like ongoing dialogue with, go ahead, Josh.
There, if you grab the temporary public art call, there is a list of approved properties,
Okay.
and there's a list of building owners who are willing to hear proposals. And then if there's just a spot that you see, because something needs to be there, let me know, and I can give you that building owner's information, or we can start that dialogue.
Sorry about it. Yeah.
What about a scavenger hunt to find those places?
Certainly, yeah. I think scavenger hunt keeps coming up, and I think there'd be a lot of fun in that. To increasing sort of this traffic between locations is a great thing.
I want to go back to fashion real quick.
Yeah.
Rama, Wendy Tremaine is an artist. You can get sewing machines for free. What you do is you bring in like 2 or 3 bags of clothes. It's a day-long event. You say, I like this shirt, but I don't like the sleeves. You bring in designers, you bring in sewers, you bring in young kids who like fashion.
That's awesome.
The great thing about it is that you've got a mix of generations. You don't have mirrors on hand, so people have to build community because you have to go to someone you don't even know and say, do you like this? How does this look? And it's a worldwide event that's happening. It's called, I put it up there, Swap-O-Rama. It's really popular. Swap-O-Rama. Wendy Tremaine is the lead artist with it. Yeah, I wrote the information up there. It's a real popular thing.
That
Yeah.
sounds awesome. All right. One more thing, Jane?
Well, I was just going to say, I don't know too much about the law around here. Is there any rules against doing things with trees, you know, like the knit farming trees.
Right, that's
I knit as well, and you can actually do that with fashion. There's a lot of people around here that
Well,
totally.
Sandy Calvert isn't here today, but that's all she talks about all the time, is the net bombing. So,
Net
yeah, of
bombing?
course, I've seen it happen way down on
I know it's
other
illegal in a
ones.
lot of places, and they'll put
Right.
it up overnight.
Yeah.
But you can do that with fashion as well. You can
Not
dress
here
it
yet.
up.
If you want to do it illegal, get with me and we'll figure
Yeah,
something out.
yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna,
Overnight.
all right, so since fashion and textile is not, or is a cousin of this sort of world, let's, to a degree, I guess, but let's talk about textile.
Crochet bombing for a Maypole event.
Yeah.
I have several events and I was looking how it could be incorporated.
The maypole, that's the one that got the most stars?
Yes.
Yeah, cool.
Oh, somebody wrote that in.
Okay.
Well, it could be that.
Crochet bombing, whatever,
It
okay.
could be like 4 of these different things with a possibility, but.
Awesome.
And I was thinking it could be trees, it could be benches,
Yeah.
like outside the Congress house, or, you know, just whatever. Wall hanging on another building, just whatever works.
That'd be
I'll
awesome.
look on the Andy Warhol Museum site at some point this month. They are knit bombing the Andy Warhol Bridge.
Oh,
And the
really?
whole,
What's the
bridge in Pittsburgh is going to be, knitted.
It's a lot of different.
What's it clothes on Ledbetter or on Elvis, the Elvis statue in front of the museum?
Well, you know, going back to materials, you know, once you knit bomb something, does it just sit in the elements and then is it reusable after you take it down, or you just leave it there to decay? How
Quite
does that work?
often it's taken down because a lot of times it's up there.
Can the material be recycled in a way?
Biodegradable. I mean, I guess you use vegetables or weed.
There's something to think about.
For these, right.
Sure,
For the
okay.
temporary thing, you don't know how long you want the art installations to be there. You know, up to 6 months, but I mean,
Some of these things, if they're looking good, I would love for them to stay up longer.
I
Or you
wouldn't
could
use,
use plants or something like that, like palm leaves or something, just weed them, so they would just naturally.
And there's some beauty in
if
decay
you use
too.
something like macrame stuff or a hemp rope, it's going to last longer.
Cool. All right, let's keep that dialogue going. Let's move on. We're down to the last two. Photography.
Photograph the faces of the area residents, have the photos cut into puzzle pieces, scavengers hunt to assemble the pieces and put the photos back together.
Cool. Who put that on the wall, right? Would you like to talk more about it?
Gosh, that was just a spur of the moment inspiration.
I love it.
My husband and I have photographed some of the homeless people around here with amazing results. And I just thought it would be really nice to have the residents of this area represented.
I think that's a great idea. That would be great. That would be awesome. All right, so are there other photographers here that would want to collaborate in that way?
We were, Cap and I were talking about that just a moment ago, about locating some residents who would be willing to pose, and have their pictures taken.
Well, awesome. So some of you are familiar with the exhibit we had at ArtSpace many years ago, Faces of Katrina. And leading off from that, which was also ripping off of many other past photography shows all over the world, but I think that's a great thing, especially it really puts a face on this town.
And I think it's a great way to involve the people who live in that area. They themselves realize that their stories are
Yes.
that's the way it goes.
So if I could just give a quick example of how we can help you on that. For instance, if you went to Providence House, they would probably say no. And we wouldn't want you to be discouraged by that, but they would most likely say no because most of the residents are in transition, or families, they have children. But if you went to Mercy Center, they are most likely going to say yes, and also VOA McAdoo. So those are the kind of things that we can help you with in advance, so you're not hitting walls ahead of time. And we'll try to do some of that work ahead of time too, if we can.
What about photographers taking family photographs of the people in Providence House? Because that's usually the first thing to go missing is, all the family's photos.
They might be interested in that.
Be a way to, you can have people, you know, do makeup or makeovers or what have you, and put the photographs in the exhibit and give copies of the photographs to the families themselves so they can have new photos of, you know, of them arising from poverty.
There's a program that did that here in Shreveport a while ago. Yes, no, Luke?
Can I say that the property tax, a lot of those people are big breaking domestic abuse and it's kept private. If you call, you know someone's there, they will not even announce the person there, so I'm not sure that that happening is really.
I think in addition to that, there might be some emphasis placed on photographing the homeless community as far as environmental portraiture is concerned, where they're actually depicted in the environments that they live in. There are a lot of people in this city that have no idea how huge that community is. These people are right underneath our feet. No one knows about it. There needs to be a huge awareness created of these issues.
I think it's important to build a relationship with the subjects. I think it's important that we're not exploiting this.
A good example of that would be that we would put you in touch with the homeless Krista Pizzaglia, who already has a relationship and has the years working with those who would want to have their photograph taken. So that's the way that if you work with us, we can get the relationships, you know, going, move towards your end.
Brandon, there's a national artist named Jeremy Howard, and he actually leads, I can't remember the name of the organization, but they do that, going to the homeless shelter, setting up, and they're doing first family photos.
It's called Health Portrait.
Yeah,
Health
portrait.
We did one 2 years ago at the hub down here. They just opened up the Love Well, and we did it in that building.
Awesome.
And we, well, I say we, some friends of mine set it up. And
Cool.
it was really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, if it's done right, I mean, I work with an organization called Flashes of Hope, and they actually go into hospitals and take pictures of patients, families, and things like that. If it's done right, in proper respect to people involved, I think it's
Great.
So,
Cool.
so one of the things you all are addressing in this is where it says, what are the logistics involved? You know, again, that's a creation of a new work of this project, and we're encouraging creations of new work. But when we say, what are the logistics, that's a very good example to tell us how you're going to go about it and what you need from us to go about it. That's the logistical part you just answered on the call. Go ahead.
I'm going to add to the idea, and maybe this is a horrible thing, I'm just going to say it. You know, sometimes at parties, you're there and they'll have these photo booths, and you jump in the photo booth, get your picture made, it's fun, and it's shared, and everybody has a good time. Maybe on the day of the big event, you know, some photographers come together and they make a larger photo booth experience. Anyone's welcome to participate in it. And maybe there's a large format printer or something where people are able to experience it. So it's like a gigantic version of a photo booth or something like that.
And could it be twofold where you could be invited to come get your photo taken? If you want to leave a copy of yourself behind, great. If you just want a photo for you,
Yeah.
Nobody gets access
No one gets to
to
see it or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah, you have that. It's your choice.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's
that'd be
something.
fun. There's an arm raised in the back.
I spent some time in Nicaragua last year, and right in front of it, a photographer came to the village, and she did this thing called picture change, where she got about 10 kids from the village, like ranging from like 6 years old to 18 years old, and gave them photography lessons. And then they had, somehow she had sponsors that paid for them to all have digital cameras. And then they took the photos, and she actually had showed them in LA like last month.
Cool.
But she did it with people like around the world, like that's what she did, she traveled.
That's awesome.
And so maybe from like a different.
And see, that leaves a mark. You've been
Yeah, it's like
educated.
the mentoring,
Yeah.
and it's like
Yeah,
from
maybe.
their perspective rather than
That's
like
cool.
a white girl photographer being like, you know, you're taking me with a.
Right. Hey, check out how awesome my photos are. It's actually it's empowering. That's cool. Okay, let's move on. I think the last thing is sort of all-encompassing of a category called storytelling.
Okay, there's a couple of these that have a couple stars. Each person in the group contributes to the story
writing center?
Yes.
Okay. Is anyone here who wrote that? I'd love to hear more what that means.
There's a place in Portland, Maine, that's called the Writing Center, and I'm thinking this is further down the line, not this first year, but something here is an education center where the kids from Providence House or wherever, they learn to tell their stories.
And they also tell them digitally as well as
Right,
writing.
and they'll put out publications and stuff.
So that sounds like a good tie-in with potentially the video projection video, and then take what comes out of this workshop and then be able to share it in a larger format.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Or maybe that is a catalyst for the sculpture idea.
What about a storytelling contest on? Just have storytelling day.
Yeah,
once
just a
a month,
storytelling day.
the art space.
Yeah, it's a beautiful art form of just storytelling.
Well, that,
Yeah,
I'm gonna do that proposal, so.
Okay.
awesome. Cool.
Oh, it's her floor.
Maybe collaborate. All right, cool.
I'm sorry.
Anything else anybody wants to contribute that relates to this category that we're talking about? Storytelling?
We have a really nice community of experienced storytellers, women who do this on a regular basis for a living. I'm sure they're men, I've only heard women do it. But especially for people in our community who are not, they see TV, they see movies, it's just an overwhelming experience for someone to bring that much detail and emotion just through words. And I love the idea of having outdoor storytelling sessions, like the whole campfire feel where everybody comes around in a circle and we have strong storytellers.
That would be awesome.
To add to that, what Linda said, you could have it set around, have a storytelling set around the table with the kids, and they all have a piece of paper, and they can draw something from what they're hearing, and then put them all together in giant quilts.
Yes.
So the quilts would be up there, you know, for the next group that came through. And the
Cool.
storytelling would continue like once an hour, for a new group of kids could be pushed through.
Nice.
Story.
Poetic, you had something to add?
Oh, no, I'm just saying,
Music accompanied with the storytelling. And
I think your idea could be more literally, maybe booklet. I've done lots of programs for kids where I give them a piece of muslin and Sharpies, and they can do whatever they want to with that, and then we can sew it together into a quilt. And I have a right back, a piece of artwork.
or you can have someone acting out, acting out like storytelling going on.
right, that's a combination of improv, music, and theater. Yeah. But there's also something beautiful about just the word too. It allows your imagination to take flight. So yeah, I think there's a lot of.
You go ahead, Sue.
Go ahead.
We could have, go to the thrift store and get a box of any kind of crazy hats, and let the kids put on hats and improv a story among themselves.
Sure.
Mice.
Cool, and that's something we haven't really talked about a whole lot. Obviously, programming for the younger demographic, I think, is equally as important on some of these levels. So I think maybe when you think about a proposal, maybe you think about what it's like for a certain component of the day and what it might be like later in the day. Either one, you sir.
I don't know if you've ever seen on TED, RSA animate. Some of the TED Talks are animated.
Right.
RSA.
Right, yeah.
Well, I wonder if it would be possible to have storytelling at night and illustrate it with an animation,
Right.
that could be projected on a wall.
Right. Well, just like you do in a classroom, you have overhead projector. But there's some artists that love doing sort of real-time drawing associated with what's being talked about. And you can do that in real time. Dimitri Marker does this, but other people do it too with lasers now. We actually did it on the side of our building as an experiment one day where we video projected, and you hit the wall with a laser, and you trace, and it's basically virtual graffiti. You draw and you write, and it projects it up on the building, really large. It's temporary, of course, but if you have control over it, and then, I mean, or not, whatever you want to do, but you can give that as an opportunity. When you're talking about skywriting or something like that, it's quite beautiful, even not even on buildings. If you have a low cloud cover in the evening, there's a lot of fun to be had with it.
I just want to throw this out there. As far as storytelling goes, I've been to a few events, kind of like creative writing events. They do storytelling in the dark. You're in a completely pitch black room, completely desensitized, no light, no nothing. You don't even know who the storyteller is when you walk in. It's all dark, and you sit there and listen to the stories in the complete dark. It's just a different environment, and it allows you to focus on the words and not have any visual distractions or anything like that. It's just a different experience than taking in a story.
It would be awesome. There's two of you. There's your right and the city line. So.
Well, okay, in conjunction with taking pictures of residents of this area, the commons, it might be interesting to have a storytelling of the history of this area and to invite people who live here to tell their story of where they come from, how long they have been here, what happened in this area, and to videotape it at the same time. So have a piece of living history then after that. And if those people would maybe also be willing to have a picture taken, photograph, you might even have something like a little historic exhibition or something like that at the end of the whole deal.
Coming from a military family and going back to storytelling, maybe think about veterans.
The what?
The veterans.
Veterans.
VA, like the VA hospital is doing something like reading for them.
No, I was told we could come in and visit this, but you're gonna have to keep going.
We have to go to them, because many times physically they can't come to us, as well as the senior population.
Veterans and seniors. Again, I'm going to pimp an idea. Remember that there is also the possibility that some of these ideas are great temporary public art projects where because there are 8 social service organizations in Shreveport Common, so to go to the Disabled Veterans Center, which is at the McAdoo, and to take a series where you help them create their stories and share them might be as effective longer term for it's either a creation of new work, but also, again, public art is creating new work too. And for me, it's another money source. So remember that you might want some of these ideas to be considered public artworks.
And speaking of money source,
Good.
you folks accept private donations.
Still might be hard.
Only if it has that comment. Small bills, unnumbered.
All right, so let's wrap up. Is there anything else?
Really quick, just coming up with some kind of structured event where you communicate with corporate owners, corporate companies, lawyers, people involved in the area, and have them sponsor or adopt a space for common area. Their name and their business will be displayed somewhere to, for viewing, but have them, donate $12,000 for 800 square feet.
Okay.
Great. And we have names to go with that too? Good, that's great.
Okay, I'm really at a loss for coming up with some sort of way to elegantly wrap all this up.
I got it.
Please.
I think that everybody who's in this room right now, and a lot of people, but need to say in their mind, I can find one artist that I can talk to about Unseen, that we can get involved, interested in some way, shape, or form. If everybody in this room invites one more person, then we're going to have a base of people. We don't have a base yet. If everybody in this room does it, we don't have a base yet. We need more people. The more we talk about it, if we're interested, the more we talk about it, the more we're going to get more people. And I hate to be this way, but I'm old, and I forgot most of what I've already done and known. And y'all don't want to know about it, but there are young people in this room who we need you to go talk to your buds. Is Bud still good with?
This is the spark. Spread the word. Yes, sir.
So when we make this collaborative website, you guys have to stick with us for just like the week that we're putting it together. Please don't abandon the projects that you've put down. We're going to get them up, so make sure that that you do go on. We're going to do everything we can to make sure everybody knows about it when it's live. Go put your name down, start commenting, and stick to a project. And just as what Pam was saying earlier about not wearing yourself thin by committing to 5 projects in a month, pick a passion project. Pick the 1 or 2 things that you want to do when we do get this thing up. And so stay with us while we get it built, but it is coming very soon. So.
I believe in you,
Thank you.
How is that URL going to be shared? Where can we go to find that URL once that is up?
There are 100 different ways to do it. I'm sure, I don't want to speak on behalf of anybody in the track, but I'm sure that we can put it up on the site or on the Facebook page.
Is there a mailing list just for those who attended today? Outside of the roster
We're
artists?
collecting everybody's email.
You're collecting it all.
But we will definitely put that link on Facebook as well.
You know, if you fill out this thing, right?
I'll tweet
The
about it.
important thing is to fill out that thing that Chris said. So if we have that, we can reach you, and then we'll put it on Facebook.
Follow my Twitter account. It's Brandon Bot, BRANDONBOT. If you are doing the Twitter thing.
What is
BRANDONBOT. I followed you last night. It was busy.
Hey, since we're talking about the Twitter thing,
Yes,
can we
sir.
go ahead and maybe like define a hashtag so we
Yes,
can
we do.
communicate with each other?
Let's lock in on a hashtag. How about, can you do exclamation points in
No, you
hashtag?
can't.
No. Let's do unseen in all caps. I don't know if it matters on the caps, but unseen.
You meant SCE.
SCE.
E-M-E. This is going unseen. Let's see what happens. All right, cool. All right, so Pam, you want to wrap it up? All right, where are we at?
Who wishes that we would go through these other opportunities? Maybe what I would say is that I don't think we want to lose the energy on unseen, and I think that you're tired, but at 3 o'clock we have watermelon and ice cream. And so, I'd rather you not just skip because I got a lot of watermelon and a lot of ice cream. But if you, maybe we'll just say this. Do you feel that since you all had a chance to go in the resource room and get the papers, that you're okay on the other calls that are available? I told you I was trying to promote them as we go. If you think that you don't need to talk about it, then we can all just have watermelon and we can have ice cream. And then we could just agree that we're going to see one another again on Tuesday, August the 6th. And then you're going to hear from us by Friday of next week in some form or fashion. But I need to know, somebody can feel like, no, I came for the other stuff and I need to get the information. Raise your hand if you want me to go through the other information. How to do art break, how to do art space call, how to, those kinds of things.
The temporary public art program?
Let Josh come in at least to the temporary public art program. Because I think there's a little, and that will buy us the 5 minutes for me to check if we got the water program. Josh, will you do the public art?
Is there a specific question, or you want to just generally talk about it?
Okay, well, there's a set of funds. There's $30,000 from Schrank and there's $30,000 from the city. So a total of $60,000 a year for temporary public art. And that can be anything, any discipline, as long as it's under a 1-year installation. So if something's put up, it's considered temporary if it comes down by a year. It's the same as most of these projects. You have to the end of the month to submit it. And then there's this little handy one-sheet page in the resource center that explains it. So there's anything that is city-owned property or Schrank property is a game. So the whole concrete line right next door to us is open. So if you want to do a sculpture, an installation, paint it, whatever, it's there.
Is that anywhere in Shreveport Common?
It's in the 9 blocks of Shreveport Common. So if you're unfamiliar with that, there's maps
And August.
all over. And in August we'll walk it. And then there are some building owners who are open to having their buildings done. If you look across the street, the Lewis Furniture one has a mural on it right now that was installed. But the premise is, if it's a building owner, you have to have a letter that says, hey, they're cool to do their project on it. You know, if you need help knowing those building owners or contact information, email me. And then it's jury once a month. We're trying to do it online to make it go as quick as possible. And then I think the two main things when you're submitting for these things is an accurate budget and timeline. You know, there is a small public art community in this town. So to really get people thinking of what things cost, supplies, you know, of what these create. And then how they're going to be maintained, how they're going to last through whatever your projected timeline is. And then I think based on the ones we've done so far, the jury has really wanted to know why you want to do this piece, why you want to do it in that specific area, what's the motivation behind it, what's in here and in here that wants you to create that piece, as opposed to Google image searching something and going, oh, this is a public art piece in New York, it worked there, it doesn't necessarily work here, so, yes.
The only question I have is it's the end of the month, is it like the other one where it takes a month or is it going to be faster?
No, this one will hopefully have a quicker turnaround, you know, doing it online will, you know, give us a couple weeks, you know. I send them out, let people kind of soak them in for a week, and then usually we can get them turned around quick.
The opposite question, can you make a proposal and say, this isn't made yet, I'm gonna need a month to make it?
Yeah, we don't expect it. I mean, you can if you already have something made, yeah. But yeah, that's part of the call is a timeline, you know, because we expect these to be relatively new projects.
But Josh is right, if you have a piece that exists already and you want to exhibit it, again, the question is just give us the rationale for why that piece in that area as part of your proposal. You might want to do your own sculpture part. You've already got that much created, or you already have 10 murals that are sitting up in your home and you'd like to exhibit them. Just we need to, he already told you, sort of explain the rationale for why it makes sense, not just, as someone told me this morning, who I'm not even going to look at in the room, sometimes we just got to get rid of a lot of that shit. So, and you're in the room, not me, so, you know, we got to get left out, so, anyway.
I think it's important on all of these projects and the temporary public art project, don't wait on us. You got a question, you got something you want to say, email us. You know, we're doing 90 nothing trying to get residency artists in town, trying to discuss things with building owners. Don't wait, the Arts Council's gonna hand us something. Feel free to come at us, ask questions. I'm always open, so.
And you're Josh at Shreveport?
Josh at treearts.org. Anything else?
Ask the question, is there anything else? They're all in the room together. If there are any other issues, if there are concerns, if there are questions, if there's some value questions about how we're going forward, any of that, this is a great time to just get it out in the open and discuss it. Go ahead, Dave.
As far as an unseen where you're going to be selling art, you said it had to be juries. Are you going to rely on folks that are on the jury roster already, or are you going to have a new separate jury process for unseen?
The jurors who are responsible for selecting cool space exhibitions at Art Space, there's a jury team, a pool of 5 artists, 3 always serve. They are the jurors for the jury arts market. And their goal is to select artists to help them sell their work. This is not an exhibition market. The jury arts market is about selling work, and it's about how artists are going to engage and try to get people to begin to collect their work. So that's what they're looking for, not just the work, but how is that artist really trying to get their work ready for selling the work. They have a body of work enough to sell. So if you only have 3 pieces, chances are you're not in the jury arts market. The goal is you've got a body of work and you are here to produce and sell your work. That's what the jury market is. Now, we also told you that we'll have 1 block where any artist can put anything out for sale or for display or exhibit. But the jury arts market is to create a gallery kind of culture in our community.
Pam, the jury part, will that be inside in a building? Will that be covered and then the other market will be outside? Or, because I'm confused.
Well, the other market is definitely outside. It is a block. We're going to identify a block every month that is the You Make It Happen block. But remember, Brandon said what he was trying to identify was some buildings that we could get into. We're thinking an example might be Commercial College. It won't be here, it won't be a gallery. If you saw on the plan, the goal is for it to become part of the Caddo Common Park. But for right now, we might could get it and turn it, and so that's 2 things. One, that's artists who want to sell and have their own space in it. But 2, it's an artist opportunity to design how do I make that space look like a gallery or feel like an unexpected experience. So there's 2 kinds of work in there. But Brandon does want us to try not to just do tents. And again, I think some of you heard us say earlier that we thought the jury arts market was more like tent set up and everybody, buys a 10 by 10 tent and sets it up down the street. But Brandon very definitely said we don't need another Revel experience. We have that. We have a Mudbug arts experience. How can we make it feel like the jury arts market is more about people coming to this area to think about buying art and how they would buy art every day rather than just on a weekend fair. So we're trying to get inside on the jury arts market.
Okay.
Yes, sir. James, Susan and James, I guess.
Are the jury arts judges going to be open to mixed media artists who focus on film?
Absolutely. Again, I think that the goal is to look at craftsmanship, to look at a body of work, to look at what is unusual, what are price points that start this community moving forward. I mean, again, we have a phenomenal Makers Fair twice a year. We don't need to be the Makers Fair in the jury arts market. There's a market for that, and we don't want to step on those toes. We have an art space, gift space, where artists, can have probably about 20 pieces of work in that gift space, 10 to 20. But how would you become a gallery for that period of time on the unseen day? And again, right now, Okay. Oh, see, the watermelon's waiting. Good. All right. Maybe I can talk with anybody about that on the side. So let's leave on the high note. I'll talk to more people about again, remember at the very beginning how we said, we're all new at this. None of us have ever done this before. I think it's a work in progress. I think we just need to do what Chris said, stay together, be patient with one another. If it doesn't work one way, we'll try it another, and be flexible to that, please. But for right now, there is watermelon and ice cream in the lobby waiting for you. So enjoy that, and we'll stick around and answer questions.